Ever wondered why we're here? What is your reason for being on this earth? So I'm going to give you a few of your lessons that the soul has to learn, and why do we reincarnate all the time? Hello, it's Jolene here from Jolene and Life Coach. Okay, so for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I am a healer, life coach, as well as an intuitive tarot reader. So if you're looking for guidance or anything like that, then this is the place to be. So there are certain lessons that the soul has to learn, and the reasons why it reincarnates onto planet Earth. So it's very difficult for us to master all of these lessons in one lifetime, okay? Sometimes we repeat lessons because we're not learning. So often when you have difficulties in this life, it's because you've been pushed to learn a lesson. So one of the lessons that we're needing to learn is self-love. And that is not an easy lesson. Why? Because we are not taught as kids to love ourselves. We've been taught as kids that we are naughty, so therefore we have to be punished. We are taught as kids that perhaps if we've come from some kind of abusive background, we're perhaps taught that we are not enough. We are taught that we need to be better. We are taught that there are limits, and we are never ever there to obtain those limits. And so it's very difficult. School teaches us these lessons, our parents teach us these lessons, and so the soul finds it really, really difficult. And often we land up in codependency in relationships, friendships, even jobs, all kinds of codependency, because we do not trust our own soul to think that we are worthy. And so we wait for validation from other people, from our peers. We take photographs on Instagram or Facebook or selfies. And if we don't get the validation from other people, we just automatically assume, oh, well, I clearly didn't look that good. Or, we're waiting for that validation because that's what helps us to validate ourselves. And that's not good. I was reminded by soul from spirit the other day about the 7 deadly sins, and that was an interesting one. And one of them was the vanity. And the reason why it's deadly is because it's deadly to our soul when we have to constantly chase others in order to get validation on who we are. The next one is letting go. So number 2, letting go. What does this mean? Well, not to control everything. So when it comes to manifestations, one of the biggest and hardest part of manifestations is letting the prayers go. You may pray to God, you may ask God, you may beg God, but then you have to let it go, okay? And what this means is that you have to trust that God's going to take on the work, okay? You also need to learn to let go of what you cannot control. So this is also difficult because we all have a big solar plex chakra, which is our control system. The solar plex chakra wants us to control everything. We want to control how people treat us and control how situations are going to find out, and we need to know the end results. Yes, I am a tarot reader, but the biggest thing that people wanting to know is, how's this going to end? We have to control it. We have to know it, okay? And that is something that we have to learn to let go. Let go of arguments, let go of drama, let go of situations that are not serving your soul. So that's one of the second lessons. Which leads me on to the lesson number 3, and that is learning to trust. I mean, there's one thing to say, I trust in God, I believe in God. Really? How often do you just trust? When you've lost a job, when you've had someone break up with you, and there's been a death, okay? How often do we simply say, that was clearly God's will? There was a lesson behind that, and I trust that God will fix it. We can say it, but how often do we feel that trust? Okay, how often do we feel the fact that, and know and have full faith that God will replace that job with something better, that God will replace your money in divine timing, not our time, God's time. So often, again, manifestation, if you do not let go and trust, it cannot come to you. That's like, so God's in a workshop, right? And he's working away, doing whatever he needs to do, putting the people in places, organizing jobs, getting the money, and he gets a knock on the door. And that's you. God, I need money. And he goes, I'm on it. And off he goes back into his workshop, and he's working and he's doing his things, and he gets a knock on the door. Stops what he's doing, runs to the door. What's wrong? God, I need money. And he goes, I am working on it. And then he goes back to work, and we don't trust. Okay, we say we do. People say that, but it takes a lot of faith to actually say, God, I need money, and not talk to him again for 30 days. Except for obviously thanking him for the things that we have been given instead of constantly asking. So trust is another soul lesson. Which leads me on to the next big lesson, and that is patience. Patience, and learning that good things come to those who wait. Okay. Now, again, we can be saying, yeah, but I have waited, God. I have waited. I've waited. And God's going, yeah, but you keep disturbing me. You keep calling me. You keep pulling me back when I'm trying to do the work for you. Okay. You have to be patient. Again, not humans' time, God's time. Okay. God has a plan. That plan's all orchestrated. It's all happening in the background. You know, Pam has to resign from her job. And in order to do that, Pam has to find another job, or Pam has to win money, or whatever. But Pam has to get rid of the job that you've asked for, okay? You don't know that you've asked for Pam's job. You've just said, God, I need to earn so much money, and I need to have this job and that specific thing. And God's going, gotcha. So I have found you a job, but right now Pam's in that job, and I need to work Pam out of that job so that you can come get that job. Okay, so patience, trust, let go, have trust, and have patience. These are very vital steps to manifesting anything. And just understanding that, so John is in a relationship, and John's relationship is going to fail in 3 years' time. John is your soulmate, blah, blah, blah. You have to wait for John to break up, and that might take another 3 years. So you've got a choice. You can go out and date a couple of other people and have those all fail, or you can be patient. Overcoming fears, and this is also a very difficult thing, because especially right now we are living in a very fear-based world. Okay, the universe is trying to protect us from a lot of things, but we do not listen to our intuition, and what happens is we fall into the trap of fear. Okay, the fear of food shortages, we panic. Okay, instead of going, well, okay, let me think. I trust that God will always provide me with food. Why don't I go and, grow something in the garden, for example? No, we're going to panic, and we go buy all the tin food and all the rubbish off the shelves, which is not really good and nourishing for our souls. But instead of going, well, let me go and find a way, a very nice, good way of doing something, but we don't. We run into fear. During COVID, we saw it. Okay, people running to go and get trolley loads of toilet paper. Why? Because of fear. Even during COVID, the fear of people, ousting other people, they won. They won on that because they got us via fear. Okay, there's more fear coming. So here is a psychic warning. Bing, bing, bing. Psychic warning. There are terrible things on its way. Okay, and you've got two options. You can either fall into the fear, or you can listen to your soul and allow God and your soul to guide you through the war, the famine, there's going to be some kind of massive 9/11 situation happening in the next month or so. So you were warned, okay? It's going to happen. You're going to see these things happening more and more. There's been a lot of things about evil coming out, the River Jordan drying up. There's a lot going out there, but Spirit will guide you through this. Okay, so another lesson for you to learn. Learning compassion. Okay, so this is the other thing. Fear creates hate. Okay, hate is a made up feeling. It is something that the world governments have created, because when I hate you, I am distracted from them. Okay, they've created hate via fear. So the original 9/11 created this fear and this hate for Muslims. Okay, this was Muslim extremists. This was not the Muslim on the street. That has got nothing to do with 9/11, and they should not be hated. There's been a lot of hate with violence, and it's throughout the world, different countries. Racism is all created via the governments, because if I hate you, I'm so busy focusing on you that I've lost all compassion for your situation, that I'm now ignoring what the government's actually doing. So, learning to have compassion, learning to have love. And that starts with yourself. When you can love thy neighbor, love thy enemies, and it's a difficult thing, no one says it's easy, but learning the fact that a baby isn't evil. We've all seen babies, they're cuckoo, gaga, sweet and things. What's evil is the upbringing that's happened, that's built on that child, that's created hate within their heart. And you need to see that person as an innocent child that unfortunately is demonstrating fear and hate and violence out of their own fear and hate and violence within their own soul. And finally, non-judgmental. Okay, we all do it. Okay, we've all judged someone. Okay, it's a human fault. It's a human error. We look at someone else and we go, I don't like what that person is. I don't like how that person acts. I don't like how that person feels. And it does happen, but it is something that the soul has to learn, is try not to judge, okay? You don't have to be in the vibration of that person. You don't have to like what that person does, but not being judgmental is something that the soul has to learn. And again, I'm not coming from a judgmental place. I have judged many times, just like everyone else, because it's an easy thing to do. And what the Spirit is saying is the only person who is worthy, it's in Act 1 of the Bible. No one on this earth is worthy of judgmental, because unless you can see the speck in your eye, do not look at the speck in others, okay? If you are not perfect, which no one here is, you should not be judging others. So these are the lessons. My first spiritual book was Sonia Choquette's Soul Life Purpose and Soul Life Lessons. I highly, highly recommend going to read that book if you're really, really interested in finding out about the soul's purposes and lessons. Thank you so much for listening to this video. You want any kind of coaching or healing or even tarot readings, you can get in contact with me below. My information is down below. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing, and I will chat to you soon. Thank you and goodbye.